Right. So what is the risk? What is the cons? Obviously, I've heard all the pros.
Yep.
Where is the risk, and why isn't everybody doing this? Antonio, Edwards, here. I've briefed you guys a little bit about each other. Antonio, my cousin. I see him every week, and he kind of asked about the property, and that kind of bridged into this conversation.
Yeah.
And I've told you a little bit about what does, and my just so just you guys all take it. Perfect. Good afternoon, Antonio. How are you?
I'm great, man. What's up? Good to connect with you.
Likewise, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man. So he's a great guy, and he told me some told me some brief things about you. He said your guys are cousins, and you work for a bank, I believe.
Yeah, mortgage.
Yeah, yeah. Is it Gateway Capital?
Gateway Capital Mortgage, yes, sir.
Nice. So you're definitely in some line of the real estate side. You do mortgages.
Right. We do lending, correct.
Awesome. Yeah. So So basically, I'm happy. I'm here today to answer any questions you may have. What is doing is what we call the slow flip model, man. It's a really cool and a sexy model in this single family residential space. You can buy a property on acquisitions, and you go in, buy it, do any repairs, and that's probably one of my favorite parts. Do any repairs to these properties, and
Sure.
you pretty much, in the state of Virginia, you can land contract them out. Now, some states might be a little different. In that case, you may do a lease option, but it's still a pretty similar strategy. But we'll land contract them out, which is a form of owner financing, where we'll put that tenant buyer on terms for 30 years. They make a payment just like any tenant would do, but they're taking care of the repairs, and a guy like is still collecting rent, just like a landlord.
Sure.
So it's a beautiful model, man. It's a beautiful model.
How would I start, hand in hand with the city and secure more properties and get the ball rolling?
Yeah. So.
Let's partnered up together,
Mm-hmm.
and we're ready to move on one immediately. Is it pretty random when they show up, or?
No. See, I don't put other clients into opportunities where I don't do. This is my bread and butter model in the real estate industry. Outside of wholesaling and flipping houses, this is my number one buy and hold strategy. Is this specific model?
Sure.
These are my bread and butters. These come all the time. However, I thought I was gonna have at least a couple come this past 7 days. Nothing's hit my desk yet, but I feel like that's gonna change any day because we have several marketing campaigns going out. Which I told we do about on an average $5,000 to $7,000 a month just to get some deals well on the market value before they hit the market. So one or two or three can come anytime. So just be standby. Can be one come today, and I have other investors that sends me deals for me to buy, or for me to find a buyer like yourself, and I can connect the dots that way as well. So one could come very soon.
Right. So what is the risk? What is the cons? Obviously, I've heard all the pros.
Yep.
Where is the risk, and why isn't everybody doing this?
Well, I asked you your first question. The risk, the biggest risk factor in this is, what if your tenant buyer doesn't pay? That's the biggest risk factor, and this is another reason why I love this, because the risk factor is low. Just say if I was a landlord and I just did a regular lease on a property like majority investors do with their rentals. They just rent it out.
Right.
They become a landlord. The risk factor on that part is that tenant doesn't pay. Now they probably excuse my language, fucked up the property. Just say some carpet paint. All right, you got to redo that. You got to go evict them. Now you got to put carpet paint. You've got $5,000 into it out of your pocket. That kind of wipe out your cash flow right there for the year. If you have a loan on the property, and you got to turn it over to a new tenant. With this model, I can still evict that tenant buyer just like a tenant, which is specifically in Virginia. Other states could be a little different, but in Virginia, you can, which is amazing, you can still evict these people on land contract like a tenant. And what I do is what got a non-refundable down payment down. That puts some skin in the game for the tenant buyer. They can't get that back, so if they default.
Right.
We which
you absorb that. Sure.
Yeah, we get that, we take that, they can't never get that back, but we rinse it once we evict them, which is like a 60 to 90 day process in Virginia. We just rinse and repeat, man. It's gonna get another average $3,000 and maybe some cases $4,000 or $5,000 down, but let's say $3,000 down, non-refundable from a new tenant buyer, and that kind of like wash that 3 month of vacancy or not getting paid, that $3,000. So that's how I look at it. That's the biggest risk in this whole situation.
And the cool part about that is the marketing team does it for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's passive. In addition, we split that $3,000 with the marketing team.
Yeah.
And I'll add one other thing that I learned about risk when reading through the contracts. Really, the only thing is that could really go wrong is eminent domain. And I wanted to ask more about that, Antonio, but really things that are pretty out of people's control. But other than that, I think you pretty much covered it, most of it. I just figured I'd add those two things. That marketing cost, we split with them, but it's usually double the rent of that month anyways. And I asked the average turnover of those marketing contracts is 14 days. They had my lease already signed with a deposit down before I even closed on the house.
Yeah. It was cool.
Now, was scenario like typical, or was this one just like a beautiful, let's door and get them all excited and right? I'm just curious because it almost sounded too good to be true.
Everybody says that. And I've been doing this model for I want to say about 5-6 years. I was at Investor. Okay, I'm going to go in, fix it up, and I'm gonna go to Section 8 route, and the government pays me once a month. That's almost guaranteed rent. However, it's still the thing where these Section 8 tenants more than likely have kids. They're gonna fuck up my property. They're gonna still call me for the leaky toilet, the busted water heater, and I was getting those calls, and I got burnt out quick. I ain't gonna lie to you, I got burnt out. And I had my mentor, which he's still my mentor to this day. He kept plugging this. I mean, he's been in the game for like well over 20-some years, man. He owns 120 of the 20-something-ish of these exact properties like this. And he was like, man, like, Antonio, you should go this route, man. This is a beautiful thing. And I was like, I like this Section 8. And then next thing you know, I'm like, you know what, screw it. Let me try my first one. And I tried it and I never looked back. And so to answer your question, yes, these are very typical. This is not, what he got was not a home run. That's just a standard slow flip deal. It's just yeah. So it's not too good to be true. However, do you live in Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, now the numbers bought a nice condo. It needed some cosmetic work. It wasn't a tear down by far. I mean, it was livable for $55K. Now we probably won't find that in Florida in this specific market. Maybe back in 2009, 2010, you could have found those prices, but now, I mean, the prices are just great in my market in Virginia. And what keeps it stable is the military. It's a military base, so we have people coming in, going out. And we got hit hard in the market back in the Great Recession, but we didn't get hit as hard as Florida and the Californias and those major markets because of the military. How's it going, John?
Later on.
Hey, what's going on, Megan? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just I got your text. It looks like those two appointments you have set look like some good props. Can you hear me?
Say it again?
I'm hitting the first floor, coming from the 11th floor down. So give me like 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. I was looking at those two, your texts of the 2 appointments you have set. It looks like those are some really 2 good possibles. Yeah.
The second one is a good possibility. The first one is a appointment.
The first one is a what now?
Is confirmed.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
the second one, we could do it again, possibly confirmed.
Okay, yeah, that Judy Lane, I was just looking up. This, it looks like it's the ARV on that one is roughly around like 115 to 120K. I know he's asking around what 80K, 79, 80.
Okay, wait. Judy Lane. Yeah, that one. Yeah, he's asking 79, 80. Something about the tax assessed value. Something like that on it.
Okay. All right. Run some comps in the data source and see what comps